The demand curve. It slopes downwards just like my career after studying economics. Let's get into it. All right, so firstly then we have a friend Bob. He's a good lad. So before we get into Bob and his existence, we need to have a look at what these axes mean on the graph. And basically on every demand and supply graph, we're going to have quantity along the bottom. In this case, we're dealing with ice creams, right? And Bob's love of ice creams. So whatever the item is, it's always going to be quantity here. And in the exam, you don't need to put numbers. Now, here we're going to have price of ice creams. Price is always going to be on this axis. And because we're talking about ice creams, it's always going to be about ice creams. Now, let's have a look at this table. In economics, we call it a demand schedule. Don't get it twisted. We can see when the price is free, Bob's a nice guy. It's only going to take a whole box of them, all right? It's not going to take millions. It's going to take a whole box. But when the price of ice creams goes up to 50 cents, Bob takes a step back and he's like, all right, I'm only going to have 10. It goes up to $1, Bob's going to have less. And then we go all the way up to $3 where Bob decides he's not even going to have an ice cream. He's just going to lick the menu. So how do we put Bob's demand on the graph? Let's have a look. We plot each of the dots and there's the line. We can see very clearly that Bob is less willing to buy ice cream when the prices are high and way more willing to buy ice cream when the prices are low. You know why? Because Bob is considered a rational consumer. Nice one, Bob. So as we know, Bob's demand for ice cream slopes downwards like the dodgy walls he builds. And we need to explain why the line slopes down like this. And the first reason is the substitution effect. So basically, as the price gets higher, Bob is going to change his mind. He doesn't need to have ice cream. He might switch it out for an ice lolly. So that's the substitution effect. If the ice creams get more expensive, you buy less of them and more ice lollies. If the ice creams get cheaper, you buy more of them and less ice lollies. Next is the income effect. If the price of ice creams goes up, Bob gets comparatively poorer every time he buys one. However, if the price of ice creams go down, Bob gets comparatively richer as he's got more money left over in his pocket at the end of the day. Therefore, he's more inclined to buy more. All right, moving on. So let's say Bob has a mate called Joffrey, all right? And this is Joffrey. Joffrey's different to Bob. Joffrey is more broke than Bob. He's a new guy on the construction site. He's not willing to buy the Rolex level ice creams at $3 or 2.5 for that matter. As soon as the price drops to 2 though, he's happy to buy a couple. And this goes from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10. Just like Bob, as the price gets lower, Jeffrey is willing to buy more. And when the price is 0, he's not going to take a full box. So what we need to do basically on the same graph is we can put Jeffrey's line and we can put Bob's line together. As we can see, Jeffrey buys less than Bob at every price level. But what we need to work out is total demand. How do we get that? The way we do that is we simply add them together. So we take Bob's demand, we take Jeffrey's demand, and we add them together. So you can see on this axis here, it went from 12 maximum, 10 maximum here, to 22. Prices still remain the same on this axis. And that's it. That's total demand for Bob and Jeffrey. Could you eat 12 ice creams in a day? All right, that's it for me on the demand line. Let's have a great day, and I'll see you again.